And joining us now is ESPN College Football Insider and the creator of the SP Plus projections, Bill Connelly. Bill, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. Great to have you on the program.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with this. Last season, BYU was essentially number 1 in returning production and number 23 overall in your SP Plus. Expectations were super high. Injuries set in. BYU sustained a 4-game losing streak in the middle of the season. They wind up number 70, 47 spots below where they were projected. What happened to BYU football by the numbers?
Yeah, I mean, by the numbers, offense got a little worse, which, you know, the differences in the receiving core and what you thought you were going to have heading into the year. And then, you know, with the injuries and whatnot, obviously, I think that played a major role. The run game seemed fine. So I do think it was mostly the passing game and just a need for a few bigger plays here and there. But obviously, the biggest shift was on the defense. Defense was extremely experienced. It had regressed in 2021. Any sort of major boost in the projections were coming from that side of the ball and looking to get back to kind of a top 20 or 30 or at least top 40 or 50 level. They were 95th, and bottom just fell out on that side of the ball. And, you know, you're just not going to – it was bend, don't break, that bent way too much to have any benefit whatsoever, and just didn't come together. So, I mean, I like the hires. There's a potential for a decent rebound if just getting some new blood in charge of everything works well. But yeah, heading into this coming year, projected kind of borderline top 40 offense, which I could definitely see, and a borderline top 80 defense. That's where the improvement is most required.
Yeah, fair to say, Bill, that the numbers or the rankings have to draw closer to one another. Too big of a gap right now between the O and the D.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, I mean, if you know, the gap is that the offense is number 1 and the defense is 40th, that's still a pretty big gap.
That's doable, yeah.
Not nearly as much of a problem, but yeah, I mean, the bottom line is for the offense could absolutely stand to improve, but the defense has to catch back up pretty drastically.
Where's the correlation for you in returning production to success at the end of the season?
Yeah, it's more the correlation is typically to improvement and regression more than quality or lack thereof. Like if you were the worst team in FBS last year and you returned everybody, you're not suddenly supposed to be one of the best, but you're supposed to improve because continuity, experience, those things matter, obviously. So that's the correlations got screwed up by the fact that BYU didn't really live up to that last year. They had a very, very high percentage of returning production and fell 30 spots. And that's not how that's supposed to work. This year, the numbers are okay. Obviously, leaning pretty heavily on transfers this time around, and that's the production of those transfers does get factored into the equation. Like Keaton Slovitz, obviously, his numbers count, so that helps. But yeah, it's the correlation was all screwed up by BYU last year. We'll see what that means for this year.
That's great news, Bill. It's great news.
You broke the math. You broke the math last year.
Now, speaking of Keaton Slovis and Aiden Robbins, running back coming over from UNLV, the transfer portal, I'm sure, is quite the trek for you each year when you're trying to piece this together. It's wild. It's free agency in college sports. So how do you manage that and try and come up with a number system that you feel confident in, because there are so many moving parts and late in the game?
Yeah. So in previous years, like long ago when I first started doing this, it was enough to basically just take the 3 or 4 transfers that you maybe bring in at most, kind of plug their production from previous schools into the current production and just leave it at that. That's, it's factored into returning production. The recruiting piece is still based on normal, plain old recruiting classes as normal. And that worked pretty well. Starting last year, especially though, obviously things exploded so quickly that I was kind of taking a few guesses here and there as to how to incorporate this. Suddenly it wasn't 3 or 4 transfers, it was 18, and it was including the reigning Bolitnikoff winner or the soon-to-be Heisman winner and 5-star guys, and that was new. And now that there's a year of data, I have a better way of approaching it. It's not enough to put it into the return and production piece. It's now factored into recruiting as well. I think I have a pretty good plan based on what we saw last year, and we'll find out. It really is, the recruiting piece now is a mix of the recruiting rankings and transfer quality and just pure transfer volume factors into it as well. And obviously, BYU's got decent volume this year.
Well, Bill, now's the year that you and everyone else start putting BYU in the P5 bin when it comes to data sorting. And in 2023, the schedule features an FCS, a brand new FCS, or a brand new FBS that was FCS last year, and then a road game in the SEC before the Big 12 slate comes on the plate. Thoughts on a win-loss window for BYU in 2023?
Well, from an SP Plus perspective, the average win total that I'm looking at right now is around 5. Big variation in potential here, though, because not a lot of sure losses. You got the extremely likely wins at the start, not a ton of sure losses, just a lot of games where BYU is a slight underdog, basically like 4 points against Kansas, 3.5 against Cincinnati, 2 against Iowa State, just a lot of like that. So basically, if BYU can exceed projections a little bit, and they're projected 62nd, that's really not that bad, but you're joining a no bad teams conference, right, basically. And that's it's just going to be close game after close game. And if they can exceed projections by a little bit, especially on the defensive side, then there are a lot of wins on the table. It's just there are a lot of losses too. This is life in the Big 12. Whoever wins the close games, makes the conference title game, and somebody's going to lose those close games as well.
Bill Connelly of ESPN is on BYU Sports Nation. From your perspective, outside of the Provo bubble and outside of the BYU bubble, would making a bowl game qualify as a successful season for BYU?
I think after what we saw last year, yes. Asked me this a year ago, and I'm thinking, I'm probably not saying BYU's a Big 12 contender necessarily, but I'm thinking 7, 8, 9 wins is certainly on the table. But now there's a reset coming on here on defense, especially. And, that kind of knocked them behind. However, it came about, and, whether the fixes work or not, we'll see. But it did knock BYU kind of off that trajectory that we saw the last couple of years, and they got to get back on it. So at this stage, yeah, if you can beat Sam Houston and Southern Utah, win the closest projected games, Kansas, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Iowa State, get to 6-6. Obviously, even 6-6 is probably going to include some close games that you thought you should have won. But yeah, you get to 6 wins and just call it a win this first season.
Bill, I've admired your work for a long, long time, so much so that this book is on my shelf in my office. And this has probably come up on 9 or 10 years that this book came out.
Yeah, 2013, so 10 years.
Yeah, and I still refer to it frequently. And there's a lot of highlighted passages I have in this. And one of them I love, and these are your words, which they really speak to me, if I don't mind. Stats can teach us what is truly important about a given sport, tell us where to focus our eyes, and give us a path for better understanding and enjoying a sport we most likely already loved. That's a really great summation of why numbers guys become numbers guys. And yes, I know there are tons of cliches about lies, darned lies, and statistics, and how stats are for losers, etc. But the way you put it out there makes it make sense for a lot of people like me and others. And I think you do amazing work. I'm so grateful for you and what you've done in the world of analytics to help people like me and others understand the game better. And just kudos to you.
I appreciate it. I do think a lot of it is basically getting people to accept that they already use stats. There are just better stats to use. We all, the people who say stats are for losers or turn around and reference somebody's, passing yards per game or something. And, it's just, there's better. We can do better. And I think over the last 10 years since I wrote that book, we are doing a decent amount better, even if, people yelling on Twitter about 4th downs proves that we still got a little ways to go here.
All right, Bill, I'm going to ask you to put on some BYU blue goggles for a moment and just say, okay, and I ask this question because you are a numbers guy, where do you feel like BYU is most likely to exceed expectations by the numbers?
I do think I was going to say offense, but I'll stick with that. I can see something coming together. I like Aiden Robbins a good amount. Obviously, so much new on the defense. I like Jay Hill, but we'll see what he can do and how quickly. If BYU really does exceed projections this year, I'm going to say that run game really clicked. The offensive line clearly has a lot of experience that might come in pretty handy. And the guys who got hurt or the guys who stepped up last year while injuries were hitting the receiving core, I can see the experience through that process paying off this year. So I can see They're projected 42nd. I could see a top 30 offense coming out of that. And like I said, if you can exceed projections just a little bit, that could pay off with that could tip a number of close games overall.
Bill, BYU's finally P5 officially with the Big 12 membership. What have you been thinking about BYU in the preceding years? Because they've been playing a much heavier P5-centric schedule, even though they were an independent. Were you kind of already maybe kind of tilting that way in terms of how you perceive them or project them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, they were top 50 in SP Plus most years. I'm looking at, starting in 2011, it was, 42, 39, a bunch of 30s, a bunch of 40s. Obviously, 2017, when the offense fell apart, there was a reset going on there, but they were right back in the top 50. Top 50 is P5. We act like, there are 60 something P5 bids. We act like that means, all top 60 is P5. That's obviously not the case. But if you're a top 40 or 50 program, you're not only P5, you're at worst kind of an average P5 team. And BYU's been that. So, yeah, I mean, how to categorize BYU over the last decade has been really weird overall, and I'm happy it's a lot easier now. But on paper, they've been at least mid-tier P5 team for most of the last decade.
Bill, once again, you have proven that just because you put the Cougars at number 62, you don't hate the program. This is not personal. It's just numbers. Hey, we appreciate the time as always. Stay warm for the remaining weeks, and we'll look forward to seeing you when college football season rolls around.
Thank you, Bill.
Good.
Bill Connelly of ESPN. SP Plus projections, always a fun metric and a meaningful one. I mean, there are a lot of metrics out there, Greg, but I personally put a lot of stock into what he does. I feel like he gives us a good idea of what we can anticipate going into a college football season.
Love the way he breaks it down. He's the author, if you will, of the 5 factors, and his 5 factors are great. And whichever stats inside these you want to pick and choose, it comes to explosiveness, efficiency, field position, finishing drives, and turnovers. Though in those 5 factors, you can pretty much find the success or failure of any football team. I love the way he breaks it down. Good stuff.